I reached out to a source that I have with the Baltimore Ravens, and I asked him, what players do you think would follow John Harbaugh from Baltimore to the New York Giants? He gave me a list, and we're going to break them down on today's show. Before we do, though, I want to let everybody know here at Giants Now that we have some John Harbaugh merch. John Harbaugh Giants Now merch. We've got hoodies. You can get yours for $44.99 at chatsports.com/NYG hire. At that same link, we've got that same exact design in t-shirt form, in white and in blue. And if you're like me, who loves the shirts, and you want a hoodie and a t-shirt, we've got an awesome deal for you. Save $10. That promo code will automatically be applied when you add a shirt and a hoodie to your cart. Save $10, spend only $64.99 at chatsports.com/NYG hire. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive into it. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Some free agents that we could see travel from Baltimore to the Giants to team back up with John Harbaugh. My source gave me some lists, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be crazy. Connor Hughes saying this, from what I've been told, expect for the Giants to be aggressive in targeting ex-Ravens in free agency. Harbaugh wants people who know his way to carry out his message. In the locker room, Tyler Linderbaum would be one to keep an eye on. We've talked about Linderbaum already. We'll talk about more players, but I actually want to start with a player that's not yet a free agent, and that is cornerback Marlon Humphrey, as ESPN's Benjamin Solak predicts that the Ravens will cut ties with the veteran to create more financial flexibility for Baltimore as they start a new era with Jesse Minter. Marlon didn't have that great of a year this past year. And at 29 years old, I have to ask the question, are the best days of his playing career behind him? I don't know the answer to that question. At one point, and for multiple seasons, he was a top corner in this league. You just have to go back to 2024 when he had a PFF coverage grade of 81.0, which was fifth amongst 80 qualifying corners based on a certain number of snaps. Was not that good in 2023. He was top 12 in 2022. So of the last 4 years, he's been top 11 twice, and he's been bottom half more than twice. And he was actually the worst graded corner in all of football this past year when it comes to PFF coverage grade of all corners that played at least 50% of what a starter's snaps who played every game would look like. No doubt about it. The Giants need another corner in free agency, and they're going to have to make some decisions on players that are on this roster. What are they going to do with Deonte Banks? Could they cut him? Could they just hold on to him and maybe hope that John Harbaugh, the former DB coach way back when for the ball with the Philadelphia Eagles, could he resurrect that career? What are they going to do with Cordell Flott? He's going to be a free agent. He played pretty good this past year. He was one of the only picks that's actually worked out for Joe Shane in the third round. I'd like to bring him back. When it comes to Marlon Humphrey, look, if Harbaugh wants him here, I'm going to be okay with that. I've heard some things that he could be a problem in the locker room and that he's kind of a weird guy a little bit is what I've heard as well. He's outspoken. He's got his own podcast. Not that I have a problem with that. But like John Harbaugh said, if you don't love football, you're not going to be here. And I'm not questioning that about Humphrey, but I want guys that are all ball all the time. I hope he's still a good corner, and if he comes here, I'll be rooting for him, but I'm not necessarily willing to break the absolute bank for him. If they do, I'll be okay because I'll trust John Harbaugh, but I think I would rather just have Cordell Flott, who is younger and seems like he's ascending, while Marlon Humphrey might be declining. A name that I was specifically told by my source was Isaiah Likely. 6'4", 240 pounds out of Coastal Carolina. You could probably go back when in the 2022 NFL draft cycle when I was hosting videos on this channel, and I had Isaiah Likely as a sleeper that I wanted the Giants to draft. Unfortunately, they didn't do it. Could they make it right now? I was actually a little bit surprised that Likely's numbers were this low over his career, only 27 grabs this past year for one touchdown. He is working in a crowded tight end room with Mark Andrews, and we know that Lamar and Andrews have a really good connection as well, but Likely is an elite pass catcher that plays the tight end spot. He's got great receiving skills. He is a vertical threat. He can work in the intermediate range, and he's someone that I think Jaxson Dart would form a good chemistry with. But as we know in free agency, it's going to come down to dollars and cents. And Spotrac, who does an awesome job putting out projections for what players are going to sign for in free agency, they are projecting a 4-year, $36 million deal with an average salary of $9 million. That would make him the 15th highest paid tight end. And I just showed you the numbers. I'm sorry, those aren't top 15 tight end numbers. You do have to wonder if he moves away from Mark Andrews and becomes that tight end one, could those numbers grow? You'd think so, but we don't know that for a fact. And the Giants still have Theo Johnson on this roster. And what are the Giants going to do with Daniel Bellinger? I don't know. I know the Giants need more offensive playmakers, though. We've seen Likely be able to be a difference maker in the passing game for the Baltimore Ravens, really since he has been drafted into the National Football League. I like the skill set. I've been a fan of his dating back to his days at Coastal Carolina on that teal turf. I like what he brings to the game. I just don't know if I'm willing to pay him top 15 money. What you learn about free agency is you pay C-level players B money, and you pay B-level players A money. You got to overpay in free agency, and I don't really love doing that. But again, we're going to let John cook for a little while. He would know if Likely is a good fit better than I would. A person that I am seriously interested in, just like I think all 31 teams outside the Ravens are seriously interested in, is signing Tyler Linderbaum in free agency. Every team wants him. Every content creator, every person that covers a team is talking about him. But he played for John Harbaugh, and now we have John Harbaugh. And if the Giants want to add another offensive lineman that really would be the first one on this roster that is an elite run blocker, you go and do that. Linderbaum is one of the best centers in the National Football League. He's been dependable. He's someone that would give you a captain on the offensive line. He would give you an identity as well. Elite run blocker. Not the best pass blocker in the world, as you can see by some pressure numbers and some pass blocking efficiency numbers. But overall, he's a really good player. And I don't have any problem with investing in the offensive line. Gave up 2 sacks this year, which isn't a high number at all, but 23 hurries, 26 pressures, only a pass block efficiency of 97.2, actually the lowest of his career. Definitely more of a run blocker. He's an average pass blocker, I would say. I'd love to have him here. You're going to have to make a decision, though, on JMS. What are you going to do there? Obviously, if you sign Linderbaum, you're kind of kicking the can, on JMS. So TBD on that. But I would like to see Linderbaum in New York Giants blue. Another name from my source that I was told could follow John Harbaugh is Patrick Ricard, the 31-year-old fullback, 6'3", 305 pounds. Could you imagine the New York Giants lining up under center with Patrick Ricard and then Cam Skattebo behind him? That is smash mouth football. That is get downhill, move people out of the way, and forcefully put yourself in a spot to gain positive yards. Giants are going to run with a fullback, especially if Todd Monken comes here, which it sounds like he is if he doesn't get that Browns job. I think Patrick Ricard is probably one of the more likely Ravens to become a Giant. Another one that I think, I didn't hear this one from the source, but kind of just connected the dots. The 34-year-old Brent Urban, the defensive tackle. He's played for the Baltimore Ravens for quite some time now. A veteran. Giants are weak at the defensive tackle spot. Maybe even would have to come in and have to earn a spot on the active roster through training camp and preseason. But if we're talking about guys that Harbaugh wants to bring in that can help establish a culture like he had in Baltimore, it's probably a guy that's been there a while, that plays hard like Brent Urban, who's a veteran, and also fits a position of the need for the New York Giants, or the New York Football Giants, as my guy John Harbaugh would say. But I would keep your eyes on Brent Urban. Charlie Kolar, a depth tight end for the Ravens, could be a player of interest for Big Blue. My source told me that Kolar and Harbaugh maybe didn't get along all that well. We'll see on that one, but Kolar is someone that he told me was probably the best all-around tight end that the Ravens actually had last year, and if he was able to go to a new place and able to do what he does, he can be extremely productive. So if you miss out on Likely, maybe you turn the block and try to sign Kolar, but the source is correct on Kolar and Harbaugh maybe not being in the best of waters. That ship may sale. I was told this one will be a great move as well. Chidobe Awuzie, former Dallas Cowboys, bounced around the NFL a couple of times, but at 30 years old, he actually had a hell of a season for Baltimore. I know he got beat on that stop and go in the playoffs. I thought it was a little bit of a weird circumstance. He kind of slipped, but it felt like he was being coached to play aggressive in that. Just a wonky play. But the PFF coverage grade suggests that he was the top 15 corner this year. The 14th best PFF coverage grade of all corners in the National Football League. If you don't want to pay big bucks to a guy like Marlon Humphrey, and maybe you want to sign a guy for 1 year, $6 or $8 million, I'm not saying the other number, that can make some sense. I don't mind doing that and bringing back a guy like Cordell Flott. If you have Paulson Adebo, Chidobe, Cordell Flott, Andrew Phillips, that's a lot better spot in the Giants we're in. Tylan Wallace is a name to monitor as well. He's been with the Ravens since he was drafted at Oklahoma State. He could play receiver. He contributes in the special teams game as well, and we know that Harbaugh is a special teams guy to his core. Only 4 receptions last year, but he has had some years and some moments in the NFL as a receiver where he showed he's able to be productive before, and he could kind of kill 2 birds in 1 stone. So would be interested to see if he follows him. This is a name that I was told as well. Jake Hummel, a depth piece on defense, a linebacker that is kind of like a culture setter that contributes on special teams. 331 special team snaps this past year. It's already like 1,000 special team snaps in his career. Keep your eyes on him as a potential New York Giant as well. Last name that I was told could travel from Baltimore to the Giants is Ardarius Washington, the former Horned Frog out of TCU, 26 years old, dealt with some injuries this past year, but if you go back to what he did with Baltimore in the 2024 season, he was actually one of the best players on that defense, and he graded out on PFF as one of the best safeties in all of football. So injuries a concern there, but he's a Harbaugh guy. They like to run those 3 safety sets in Harbaugh defenses. Giants like to do that as well. The new defensive coordinator will obviously decide that, but I could see him coming to the Giants on a cheap deal as well. If any news, any rumors, or any signings happen, we're going to be breaking it down on this channel, so subscribe and give me a follow over on social media at @MarshallGreen_.